Sometime in January, I remember working for a client on Upwork where I needed to use scripting to do the task. And when I was done, I went as far as sharing the code, not just in his database that I work with it, but sharing it with a URL. He found it very, very fascinating and thoughtful, and he thanked me so much for it. So, if you are an AI automation expert, we're working with Airtable, Zapier, Make.com, or any of these platforms that require you to write scripts. I want to let you know that one of the best ways you can document, not just for yourself, but for your clients, document simple or short snippets of code is by sharing it using GitHub Gist. Not the normal GitHub you know, but GitHub Gist. GitHub Gist is different from GitHub, and the major difference is GitHub that allows you to do full documentation and have a README file and all that. GitHub just allows you paste your code, add a description if you like, add an extension to your code to specify what kind of language that was used, and you can just share the URL with anybody. So if you are creating an SOP or a document, step-by-step explanatory documents for your clients after doing an automation for them, one of the things that will make you stand out and be outstanding at your job as an automation expert is by sharing the code not in a Notion document or in a Google document, but sharing it using a GitHub Gist, because GitHub Gist formats it properly and also helps it appear in the way the language is. I will explain that as I do this demo. So that's the reason why I'm doing this demo, so that you know how to use a GitHub Gist to share codes either within teams or with a client, as far as it's not very lengthy. It's not a lengthy code, right? So first off, you need a GitHub account. No, GitHub Gist is different from GitHub, but they marry each other. So you need a GitHub account to be able to do this. But don't worry, your client do not have to have a GitHub account before they can see the code or copy the code to use. You creating it need a GitHub account, and creating a GitHub account is not difficult. You can always come around with that. Some of you already have existing GitHub account. So what you would do is that you go to your browser and type git.github.com. I'm already signed in here. If you aren't, you will see where you see sign in, and you just sign in into your normal GitHub account, right? And you will come to this place and it should show you all the GitHub gist you have. I've deleted some that were not necessary. I've deleted some here. So what you will do is that if, for instance, you did an automation scripting either in Airtable using script extension or automation scripting, you can come here and paste the code. I already have that copied to my clipboard. I'll just paste it. Now, if you look at this code, it's looking plain white. It's not giving what it's supposed to give as a code. So I'll come here and I can just type Adeze underscore is underscore coding .js. You can see how the color change. That's because I added an extension stating what kind of script this is, which is a JavaScript. So I added a .js showing that this is a JavaScript and it has formatted properly. So if I needed to use this somewhere else, I can copy it and go and paste in another base in another place. But if you have it in a document, maybe like a note, a Google Doc or Notion, those things could scatter your code, and by the time you are copying it, it will not format properly. That is why I encourage people to use GitHub Gist. And like I said, the difference between it and normal GitHub is that you don't need detailed documentation, or it's not a lengthy code, just maybe snippets. So when we create the link now, you can always add it to any documentation you're creating for your client, maybe a process or something. Then you can give a description Adeze is doing a demo on how to use GitHub Gist to share code snippets. You can always write as lengthy as you want, just giving an explanation that is easy to understand by someone else, whether or not you're there, for them to be able to interpret the code, right? So this is the code. If I remove the .js now, you can see it's back to white. And this is how it really might just appear when you use it in another platform. And by the time you want to copy it, everything is scattered and it's not formatted properly. So I'll go back to putting the .js again so that you just see how it goes. Now, when you're done creating this, now this is the name of this GitHub gist. Now this is the description. Now there are two ways to create a GitHub gist: the secret way and the public way. By the secret way, secret gists are hidden by search engines but visible to anyone you give the URL to. So if it's a client you're working for, you can make it a secret gist that it is only them who have the link that can access it, or any other person they share the link with that can access it. But when such words or keywords may be used in the description or in the title of the what's it called, of the code is searched on the internet, it will not be found. But if you want it that anybody on the internet can have access to this code, they don't need to have the link. If they search for something that is a keyword here, this will pop up to their timeline. You can use the public create. So if you're a freelancer, or if you are somebody working as an automation expert, or anybody at all sharing snippets of code within team members or with your clients, you can always use the GitHub gist. And when you click create public gist or create the secret gist, this is how it comes out, right? You can see how it is now. This is what it looks like when it is created. And when you're done, you just copy the link here. And if it's public, people can star, they can fork it and all that. I mean, these are terminologies. I expect that if you're familiar with GitHub, you understand what I'm trying to say. Maybe if they want to copy it into their own GitHub base and it's made public, they can fork it into a repo in their own GitHub account so that they can have a copy of it, or they star it so that they can come back to it later, whichever way the case will be. So I'm going to copy this link and put it on another browser so that you see that it comes up the same way. So this is how it looks like. This is, and if it's public, I think it gives room for collaboration. Somebody can drop a comment to say something about the code. Probably the code is faulty, it's not well, and it needs to be worked on. Yeah, I think this can also, people can collaborate on the code too. You can download the code as a zip file. If you want to edit it, you can get in here and edit. Maybe there's a thing that needs to be updated in the code. You do that and you update the git like that. So this was supposed to be a quick tutorial showing you how you can create links where you save codes and share with people, either public code or private code, especially if you're working with clients. Either you're doing a documentation for them or you just want them to see the code and something they can make reference to. For instance, maybe if a client is working in a database that is paid and maybe their subscription expires, when your subscription expires, you lose the scripting part of it, because the scripting part of it is a paid plan, so you might lose it and maybe you want to use another base, or anything can happen that will need you to make reference to the script. So this is a better way you can share your code. I hope you found this useful. And once more, my name is Adeze, your favorite low code no code developer. To take care.